We'll be talking about the supplements I take from first thing in the morning when I get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work. I got to be there at 6 a.m. and I'm there for 12 and a half hours. So take my food with me, my supplements with me, because I don't buy food, to go food that they got, available, fast food, what they call it, right? So I have to make my own fast food and I take my supplements with me. And that's how I'm able to maintain strength, energy, power, vitality, and I'll break down. Gonna be 50 this October, and cell integrity is the most important thing. Keeping our cells, being able to help them push back from the toxicity we live in, is what I focus on, and that's what I'm gonna start showing. What foods I buy, why I buy them, what they do, and why they help. And right now we're gonna go over the supplements I take and how I stack them and how I take them throughout the day, all the way right before I go to bed. Um, so a lot of guys are interested in what I'm taking and when I'm taking it. For those of you who are not familiar with, taking supplements, who do we got there? Everyone. I love gloves. I remember you. I remember you from last time. All right, saying I love gloves. Give me a second. What I want to try to do is get on my computer so I can read the questions here, and I put my big old face in the phone just so I could read what people are saying. And we're gonna go through step by step. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. Like you look at all the shit I'm looking at right now. It's a lot. But it's like compared to people, you eat less is what I'm saying. You eat less because your cells have more, so you crave less. The reason we're so hungry all the time is two reasons. One, the toxicity is keeping our hormone called ghrelin on, and it's making us eat even if we just ate. So it makes us hungry, right? And when our cells are satiated, they don't ask for nothing because they got everything they need. And so we recognize that we stop buying as much food as we're used to because our hunger hormones are not triggered by glyphosate. And glyphosate is that drain cleaner I'm telling you about, right? There's a lot of damage in a lot of ways that glyphosate, which I call drain cleaner because that's what it is. I call it exactly what it is, a drain cleaner. It causes a lot of dysfunction neurologically, psychologically, physically, and mentally, emotionally. Because I got all the science to back that up and the professionals who talk about it. But I won't go into that. It's too much information. We just want to go into what I do and how I do it. Give me 1 second. All right, give me 1 second. I want to be able to set this up. I can't set it up until I'm actually on it. Right. I figured out how to take a picture, so that the half of my forehead comes out or I come out sideways like my other ones. Right. I figured it out. All right, I'm getting better at it. Let's see what do we got. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. So it's not just supplements I take, right? It's food. The food I'm taking is behaves like a supplement. When I say behaves like a supplement, meaning the potency, behaves like a supplement. When I say behaves like a supplement, hold up. Meaning the potency behaves like a supplement. When I say behaves like a supplement. All right. What I mean by that is the ingredients. I should say the. Cause let me give you an example. This is amaranth, right? Amaranth flour from Mexico. Amaranth flour from America is just stone ground. They grind the seed, which doesn't make it a bioavailable, meaning the nutrients don't uptake into our body, right? It actually takes away nutrients, anti-nutritional or anti-nutrient. But in Mexico, they pop the seed, they heat it, and that heating releases the nutrients, and so when we consume it, we uptake it, right? We uptake it, and it's very powerful food, very powerful food. It does so many different things that we're gonna go over when I go through this step by step what I'm taking. But what I'm saying is, I know we buy supplements, right? Because they do certain actions, but foods do certain actions as well. And there's some powerful foods out there that we might not be using, and I use them on a regular, every day, right? Eventually, what I want to do is have a brand where I have a box that comes to your house from morning to night. Everything you take, and you take it to go with you to work because you don't have time to make and mix and match all these things that I'm going to show you that I do right now. So it just makes your life easier knowing that your cells got your soldiers. And when I say cells, I'm talking about our soldiers, right? I treat my cells like soldiers. They got everything they need to be ready, steady for this toxic environment that we're dealing with on a regular basis. All right, so how do we begin? Right, how do we begin? I had to go over all of that. And I'm also going to go over real quick for those of you who don't know me. My name is Michelle Angelic. I'm this Truth and Integrity Warrior here on YouTube and on social media. And I, my concern is the toxicity to the body and how we're going to help ourselves push back. What are we gonna do about it? Because there's a lot of diets and stuff out there. I've had to create something completely different because of the toxicity that we're not aware of. My followers on YouTube are, but it's the toxicity of biotechnology in the food system that we're not aware of that's affecting our bodies in multiple ways, and how to push back, right? And in doing so, I help myself arm themselves so well. But my teacher, Tony Panteresco, got to give credit where credit is due, pioneer in this information when it comes to nanobiotechnology in our bodies and how to help the body fight back. Tony Panteresco is the main man, right? The the helping and arming my cells ended up making me younger because I added something that Tony's not doing, and that is making sure that my immune system's never triggered, so that it can actually have the time to repair and regenerate my body. And it did. It did in a way that I didn't expect. It ended up making me younger in so many different ways that now this is a food lifestyle. Now it's a diet lifestyle. Now it's just my lifestyle because be it that I'm gonna be 50 this year, I ain't going back. I ain't gonna go back to how things were. No way. I can't. With or without this tech, say everything got cleaned up, right? Everything got better. Just knowing that my body's constantly regenerating and getting stronger and better and faster and younger, and and fixing itself when it's broken down. I've been broken down so many ways. We'll go over that some other time, some other video. But I am my own testimony that this stuff works, right? That we feed the cells, give them the tools that we need without dropping the immune system. Those two things go hand in hand, and we got a incredible product, which is vitality, strength, life force, in our physicality, and well, in all parts of our aspects of how we function as human beings, right? So this diet lifestyle, which I call a soldier's diet, right, is with supplements and using the foods that we have available that never drop the immune system. That's pretty much my diet. So not about this food or that food. Is what food we got available, be it the circumstances, as long as it's not dropping my front line of defense, meaning triggering an immune response, I can eat. And adding supplements part of that day, like when I was homeless, a lot of you guys know that I was homeless. Even if I didn't eat, I had my supplements. They were in my bag. The motherfuckers were everywhere I went. I made sure to have supplements because I was working, right? So I would make sure that if I didn't have food, access to food, because I couldn't go get food because I didn't have a car, and in the poor areas I was living, food accessibility, the quality of food wasn't what I wanted, but it's what I had to work with. So I had to learn to work with what I had. But what was maintaining me was the supplements, is what I'm trying to say, right? I had amaranth, my own supplement that I make at the base of this amaranth flower is the base of my supplement that I make and that I want to get out to you guys. It just kept me fucking very strong, and while I'm living outside homeless, right? So I am my own example how how strong we can be with without the God. What do I want to say? What do I want to say? We can get through this shit. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, we can get through this shit. I've been tested. I've been battle tested in so many fucking ways. So I hope that gives you some kind of hope. If you're struggling with your health, if you're struggling with your body, with your mind, with your psychology, it all can get fixed up neurologically. It has to do with the toxicity coming in our body. Can't get toxins out. So that's what I want to help with. All right, let's begin. So I'm just gonna go rewind in my mind everything that I do when I get up at 3:30 in the morning to get ready to go to work. I'm gonna just go down the line on what I do. Right. First thing I do, literally, first thing I do, I'm up. I go to the kitchen, I get my water on to make my tea, and I'll tell you what kind of tea I make and why I don't make coffee. Right. Now I'll show you what I put in my tea to do some incredible stuff. This is what I take. I make liquid minerals, and these liquid minerals, I have a link that I'll be posting all the links that I'm talking to you guys about. a little bit later so you can go back and look and see all this stuff. But I make my own liquid minerals that I've been doing since 2018. They're amazing. If you don't want to make your own, it's about getting a full spectrum of minerals. And people say, well, what do minerals do? It's so long and so complicated and so overlapping. That means one mineral will do what another mineral does because they're all working together. I'm going to explain it like this, super simple. It's like having to build a house and you don't have no tools. Well, here are the tools, right? And so with those tools, you're going to build that house. And you say, well, what are all these tools for? Just watch and watch how they all connect one thing with the other. That's the importance of minerals in our diet. Let me just tell you what I take on a regular in these minerals. We have it's copper from the chlorophyll, peppermint essential oil, which has a whole lot of properties, over 8,000 plant extracts, I should say plant properties that we can only get in plants, but we don't consume them enough. So we get it in that. We get it zinc citrate, magnesium sulfate, borax, which is very important to understand. It's not a soap, right? If it cleans outside, it cleans inside. And it takes out all the corrosion that we got on our glands that are our sensors that connected to this electromagnetic field that we're in, that our energy works off of. And when those are down and corroded, we're down and not connected. Put it like that, right? And potassium citrate, sodium chloride. Which I go back to potassium. Those of us who are not getting enough potassium are not making muscle. So you can eat all the protein you want, but if you're not getting enough potassium, you're not going to be able to uptake that protein. That protein is going to go right through you. So for those of you who are not making muscle, check on your mineral intake and get enough potassium so that when you do take protein, your body, your muscles can absorb it, right? Sodium chloride, ascorbic acid, taurine, that's for the heart. A lot of people don't take taurine that are vegetarians and vegans. And you make a weak heart, you make a weak muscle that helps all the other muscles, right? It's an organ that helps every other organ work. So if the heart ain't working, the rest of us ain't working because that pumping, that blood, that flow is not going to work correctly. So pay attention to taurine for those of you who are vegetarians and vegans, please. And then we've got iodine and selenium. I'll be posting a liquid mineral that you can take that I found online that you can order. That is the cleanest that I can find for those of you who are looking for liquid minerals. But first thing I take in the morning, right underneath my tongue, boom, you can feel an electric pulse. You can feel it go right through your body. Meaning, it's almost like when you eat something sour, you feel that little charge. You feel a charge go right through the body, right under the tongue, goes right to the salivary glands. It's a bloodstream and everything's ready to go. It's like flipping the switch and saying, body, it's time to turn on and let's go. Let's move and the cells get started, right? Get working. So minerals are the first thing I take in the morning. Then I heat up my water. Now I take what it is black tea and green tea. These guys got all kinds of properties that I could go over, but I'm just going to go over some stuff that you might not find and you might not, that people are not regurgitating information on. You can go find a bunch of good reasons why to take both of those teas. I take them for my caffeine, and because what they do is they get rid of something called visceral fat or brown fat. It's the fat that we don't want that's around our organs that we can't get rid of, and it's internal, right? It's internal and it's unhealthy fat. And if we have a fatty liver in that fat, I'm giving an example, right? And that fatty liver, that fat that's collected around the liver is because the liver can't detoxify anymore. And that's the problem we got. We can't detox. So we got 20-year-old adults who can't detox and they got all kinds of different problems in their health, neurologically, physically, emotionally. These different health concerns, the body can't detox. And so the wiring is all malfunctioning, right? Well, helping the body starting to detox, helping the liver create the glutathione that it needs. And we'll get into what glutathione is and how we start making it and where we can get it from so that we can help the liver help itself produce that glutathione, that super antioxidant. It's like a bouncer to a bar and says, I'm going to pick your shit up and I'm going to take you right the fuck out, because that's what detoxifying is, and we're not detoxifying. And so we want to help our liver get rid of that fat because our body makes fat to wrap around toxins. So when we're actually getting rid of fat, getting rid of toxins as well. That's little tips that a lot of people don't know. So these help remove brown fat. So those of you trying to get rid of fat is super helpful. And then this mamma jamma is what I stick into that tea. And this stuff is some good shit. I like to say some good shit. So it has a I know it has cysteine, right? I know it's a cysteine. It doesn't say cysteine right here. Let me show it to you right here. Let me show you this brand. See that right there, so you guys can order that online. I'm gonna try to get all these things on there for you guys, so you can order on Amazon and get them. This stuff is so good. They call it Genghis Khan root, right? Genghis Khan root, because the vitality that it gives you, it allows for to free up your own testosterone. So the free testosterone that we got in our body allows the body to start uptaking it. You can feel it. All I can say is that when I go and I spar, I feel the difference when I'm sparring with that and when I'm not sparring with it. Get that fucking bark inside that. When I say that dog, you feel the difference. That's all I can say, right? When it comes to testosterone. So for those of you who want to help build up your testosterone, it doesn't make you manly. It just brings back your determination. Testosterone helps us with our will, our drive, our determination, and we lose that when we have excess estrogen. We got a lot of excess estrogen in our diet, put into the chicken, to the meat, and to the eggs. Jesus, it's really, estrogen is in our toothpaste, it's in our creams, it comes in the form of soy. So they got estrogen in so many different levels, in our chewing gum, it's in our mouthwash, right? It's in our seasonings. They put it in our seasonings. So we're getting it from so many places that little bit for so many years, it's going to create an effect where we have so much excess of estrogen that we're going to start feeling lethargic, lack of desire, lack of will, lack of drive. Those things are not good. And it builds a lot of body fat, body fat in the tissue. Start growing in the breast, in the hips, and in the thyroid. I think I've explained that in other videos, but I gotta always go over that, right? So this helps counter that, and you can feel it, and it feels good. I'm gonna tell you, it feels good. And it tastes good when you mix it with the black and the green tea. It looks like a black cup of coffee. Gives it this nice, heavy, thick, rich body that coffee has that tea doesn't have, and it helps it get that heaviness. It tastes fantastic. And I put some stevia in it to make sure that I'm not building up on sugar. You build up on sugar, you build up on fat, right? And all kinds of other problems. You want your body to eat the fat or the sugar that it has in its reserves inside the body. So you go for something that's zero sugar, and that's the best one, easiest one for you guys to find online. Or you get that from Trader Joe's and on Amazon from Trader Joe's. I wanted to go back to this also because it does multiple things. You can look it up. So look up cysteine, right? Genghis Khan root, and I can't even pronounce this. It's Wukong Rong, right? Put it up there one more time for you guys. That's the brand I get. Eventually, also I'll be getting that to you guys, making sure you get what you need through my brand once my brand comes out. It helps. This cysteine helps with the kidneys, and I'll tell you how I could feel that right away. I always had that problem with my kidneys, and you can feel that pressure go away with this. That's how quick that thing works. And so when it helps the kidneys, it just helps the blood flow and the blood flow correctly. If blood doesn't get cleaned out through the kidneys, we get a backup, and that backup creates all kinds of other problems in our system of operations. We want good, clean blood flow to be properly cleaned through the kidneys. That's very helpful for it. And the other thing is very important, and I should have wrote it down because I can't even remember what it is right now. I'm gonna have to come back to that. I try to write all these things down so I don't forget, and I forgot to write that little detail down on what else this thing does. I think from being live here, it makes me nervous, and I draw a blank. It's like being in school and having to read in front of everybody. You're just like, I forgot how to read. I fucking forgot how to read. I'm gonna come back to it, but it's really, really, really adrenal glands. Boom, there it is. All right, this is why it's really important to get, and I take it every day, right? Every day in the morning. I've been taking it for the past couple months, and it's something special. I'm gonna stick to it. And they say Genghis Khan took this for all his life, so. You know, you can stop taking things and go off and on. But so far, I've been doing it every day for the past 2 months. I like it very much. Let's say a month and a half, and I like it very much. But going back to the adrenal glands, now why does it help with the adrenal glands? Why is it important that we help the adrenal glands? When we taking monsters and stimulants and caffeine, I love my caffeine, right? And a bunch of you guys love your caffeine too. It taps out our adrenal glands, and when we tap out our adrenal glands, that's where we're producing the B or helping the B vitamins, right? So if we got B vitamins, we need B vitamins for brain function of operations. It brings them down 5 times faster. That's a problem. So we need to help the adrenal glands so they can help our B vitamins, so that the factory in our intestines. It's a large operations, but what I'm trying to say is we have operations in the body that once we understand how these workers work, our cells, are working, we know what to start giving them so they can work. And so helping our adrenal glands helps with our B vitamin production, which helps with our brain production, which helps with our neurologic functions, which is our psychology, our mentality, how our emotions feel, and how we think about doing things. And we're not used to talking about nutrition or nutrients and emotions. We just think we have emotions because, I grew up like this, so these are my emotions. Or I feel like this because I feel like this. It has a lot to do with nutrients or the lack of nutrients, right? So when we have a problem, we got to go look at the lack of the nutrients. It might be nutritional deficient in something, and then detoxifying. So I try to hit all these things, help my body detox, help my body function, and get all the tools that they need so that my cells can go to work and take action and repair me on a regular. Sounds complicated, it does, because it is. But like I said, I'm trying to make a box where just you take your tea, you put your tea bag, you drink it, you love it, and you fucking go. I'm trying to make life easy for people, because I've had to learn to do this for myself, right? It's just been taking me. It's taken many years to learn what I know. I've had to get my ass kicked in so many different ways to look to search for solutions. So look, now I know why I had to go through all those things. Because if I can't help myself, I can help my children. And if I can't help my children and we don't share this information, we can't help our children and our future generations. They won't have this knowledge. They need this knowledge. All right, so I have my tea. I got my caffeine. I got my testosterone. I know my kidneys are doing good. My adrenal glands, I'm helping repair them because I'm fucking them up with caffeine on a regular. So you gotta have a balance. You fuck some shit up, and you gotta go in there and repair. And so that's what I do for my morning time, because there's no way I'm not gonna have my caffeine, right? A lot of you are like that too. You love your caffeine. I haven't even looked to see if anybody said it. What gloves do you have? Don't ask me those questions, fool. I ain't talking about gloves. I ain't talking about gloves. You gotta be asking me questions about gloves when I'm talking about supplements. You can ask me any question you want about supplements. All right. So that's what I take. And then I make myself something nice and fatty in the morning, so that I have fuel to burn when I'm at work. And because, like I said, I'm there for 12 and a half hours. So what's something fatty that I'll make? I'll make a carbohydrate, or I'll make something fatty. So for something fatty, I'll do it 1 egg, half a cup to 3/4 cup of coconut, shredded coconut that's unsweetened. Whip that up. You can put maple syrup or you can put stevia, and then fry that. And it tastes like a coconut macaron. That's one of my favorite things in the morning. I do a plantain, blend that with an egg, put that plantain in the blender where it's semi-green, semi-ripe, right in the middle. So it's not too sweet, not too much sugar. It hasn't turned into sugar. Still has that starchy from the green plantain. Blend that up. Put some cinnamon, some of the vanilla that I showed you how I make with brandy, right? Blend that up, cook that, and I have about 2 nice pancakes. And so I make plantain pancakes and put some maple syrup, and I take that and I drink that with my tea in the morning. Shit's fucking good. That shit fire me up, and I'm ready to go. And I'm ready to go. I'm not starving. I'm not starving. And we're used to doing that. We're used to working off of just being starving, and that's not good, especially because we got a lot of energy we got to burn for those of us who work all day, right? For those of us who work all day. Now, when I get to work, I have what I'll do is we have a 9 o'clock break. So I'm like I said, I'm just telling you what I do. You take whatever information I got and then apply it to yourself and make the adjustments you need. But I'm just showing you how my routine is. 9 o'clock we got a break and I eat, right? And when I eat, it usually be my carbohydrate early. So I don't do my carbohydrate later. I do my carbohydrate on the earlier side. So I burn it off throughout the day. through energy, right? Expelling energy. And so whatever it is that I eat, I take it with my supplement, and my supplement has a base of amaranth, because a starchy carbohydrate mixed with amaranth flour, what it ends up doing is cuts the sugar. So if it's cutting the sugar, it's cutting the production of glucose, cutting the production of sugar being stored in my body. So I'm able to maintain lean while still eating, eating on a regular. And it cuts. So amaranth flour, what it does is it raises leptin levels, which is a hormone that makes you feel full, and so you're just full. Amaranth produces nitric oxide. Nitric oxide gives you energy to your cells, uh, so that the oxygen in the blood, you're flowing and you're running and you're running strong. Your days last longer. You're less fatigued than everybody else around you, and you can just keep going. That's what, and it makes blood circulate the way it's supposed to. For men, it helps them with erections. That's nitric oxide is the basis of Viagra, but you can get it naturally when you consume amaranth. What else does it do? Helps with, because of the fiber. Fiber is like giving the best arms to your soldiers. They got something to fight off the bad bacteria with. That what fiber is, and it helps clean up the intestines and push everything out, because you want to have that nice and clear and clean, so that it's not coming out in your skin, it's not coming out in your sweat, the pollutants is not coming out in other places, brain fog, because we got our system backed up with shit, like literally shit, right? And so we need to be pushing that out. And amaranth helps with that fiber to push that out, because it's something called a prebiotic. We got prebiotic and a probiotic. So the prebiotic, here I am caught on prebiotic, probiotic. Yogurts are probiotics, right? These probiotics, what they end up doing is the element's already there to give to the soldiers, which is the bacteria, the good bacteria in the gut, so that it can battle the bad bacteria and overtake them, right? I'm trying to show what a prebiotic and a probiotic is. And well, oh gosh, I'm being caught because I'm on live. Hold on. Prebiotic, probiotic. Shit, I'm busted. I'm busted because I'm being put on the spot. So prebiotics, probiotics. Prebiotics are the, I can't remember. I can't remember. One of them is already made, and one of them has to be made in the intestines. You gotta give me a second. If I write this shit down, I didn't write it. I didn't fucking write it. And because I'm nervous, because I'm live. Hold on. This is a prebiotic. Means that your soldiers don't have the tools, but as soon as it goes in there, the fiber that goes in there and the nutrients in here, your soldiers, the good bacteria in the gut says, I'm gonna destroy you, bad bacteria, because you're overtaking shit around here, and I'm gonna fuck you up. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna take you the fuck out. Because right now our intestines are loaded with the bad bacteria. It's causing a dysfunction in our operations, right? In our operations. And in yogurt, we take a probiotic, meaning that it's already been made. The bacteria is already there. It goes inside and it starts fucking up the bad bacteria, starts taking it out. So you just got to see me get nervous live, get stuck because I got nervous, because I couldn't remember, because that's what happens when we do shit live, right? And that's why I write shit down, but I didn't know I was going to talk about that, and I didn't know I was going to get nervous, but that's what we got. I'm just glad that you let me take a second so that I got rid of my nerves. Fucking think, right? Fucking think. And this is why let me not get off of amaranth. This is why amaranth is so important, because it also stimulates muscle growth. So the amount of potassium for muscle development, for protein intake, is high with amaranth. And another thing that it has is lysine. A lot of people overlook lysine as an amino acid, but what it ends up doing is it stimulates muscle growth, right? It activates it, it gets it going. So you could take protein, but if it doesn't have enough of the amino acids organized to activate muscle growth, you can just keep eating protein and never grow no muscle. So you have to have enough of the right amino acids to stimulate and get that going. And amaranth does it naturally, right? So amaranth does it naturally. And so that's what I mean about the difference between taking supplements that we got to buy in order, and then the kind that we can grow and have for ourselves. They're both good. I'm good with both. But I'm just showing you the differences. Yeah, I gotta bring back amaranth. Wow, the amaranth got so many things going on with it that I just can't put it down. But it's part of my food. You know, it's my staple. I've been taking it for 5 years. You know, 5 years, and I could say it's transformed me because it's part of my food intake on a regular. And I make bread out of it. I have my supplement out of it. It's just part of my life. Now, here's the other thing about amaranth, which is pretty incredible. I don't know if I talked about it on my last one. Amaranth, if you take it on an empty stomach, and you, or let's say, if you take it without adding another starchy carbohydrate, which would be a potato, a corn, or rice, or wheat, some kind of sorghum, anything that has a starch, right, to it, because it cuts the glucose level of that starch, it brings down the glucose level of amaranth. Now, if amaranth is taken by itself without another starch, let's say you just have it with some eggs and no other starch, amaranth is the highest. I think it's the highest. I say I think because I don't know anything else higher than, but it could be out there. But amaranth is 105 to 107 registered on the glucose, the glycemic index. What that means is the spike in sugar is so high that it helps to build body mass, right? For those who are building body mass, they love that. But for people who are diabetic and they can't process sugar, this will spike your glucose up to 300. It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. So knowing this about how amaranth works is has to be taken with another starch. Amaranth has to be taken with another starch, or its glycemic level skyrockets, right? So it's versatile. You can grow a whole lot of body mass with it, and it's healthy for you because it has all those other properties that I told you about. Or it can reduce your sugar, your glucose intake with the foods that you're eating when you combine it with it, and still give you all of those good properties and that muscle stimulation and all those other benefits that I told you. So that's the beauty of amaranth. I'm gonna try to single that out and do a little short video just on that information because it was good information. All right. I do like these lives because it helps me be put on the spot. I need to be put on the spot. You know, I like to be tested. This is a good way for me to be tested. Tested on my shit. All right, all right. And it lets me feel like I don't have to rush. You know, I don't care how long this thing goes. If you want to get off, get the fuck off. If you like it, yeah, you can always come back to it, right? And I can pull out a lot of little diamonds, little nuggets out of here and make little shorts out of the information I'm given. All right, and so when I take my amaranth, I know I got all those things going on for me so that the rest of the day I don't even feel hungry. And so I'm not looking and craving food while I'm working. I can actually work and stay focused on other things instead of always feeling hungry. So the glyphosate that's in the food that we're eating, that's in our cereal grains, which is your corn, wheat, rice, oats, barley, sugarcane, that's laced and layered in all of our foods, even when we think we're not eating it. It's in the words maltodextrins, dextrose, and soy lecithin. I mean, we have to look at the ingredients and we're getting it even though we think we're not eating it. And so the effects of that is a ton. But one of those effects is it makes us hungry because it opens up the ghrelin. And so you can look up ghrelin hormone. And when that thing is switched on, we just spend all this money on always feeling hungry because psychologically getting a trigger, a signal. I gotta eat, even though we just ate. So to turn that off is recognizing to push back and not eat those foods with that in it, with what I just named off, and put stuff like amaranth to be able to cut that and change it because a lot of us don't even have the money to be buying all these lunches and the food that we spend on a regular, and it makes us feel like shit and look like shit. You know, tastes great. And I'm not saying my food don't taste great. It does. Eventually, I'm gonna start cooking so you guys can start seeing what I'm making. You guys can make it for yourself. Um, and you can see how I enjoy my food. How I enjoy my food. How we can still enjoy food. How that's better because if you're like, oh, that's just you, Michelle, you in your own little world. How we can still take pleasure in food while still maintaining integrity in this toxic world. All right. So after I take that, I go into what is I make my own pre-workout, right? I make my own pre-workout, which a lot of people compare it to like a Red Bull or a Monster, something like that, right? I want my next step of caffeine. So instead of grabbing a Red Bull or instead of grabbing a Monster, which a lot of us, a lot of us do, or we go for that next round of caffeine a little bit before 12, right? This is what I take. I take. Oh, I don't have my other one. I don't want to jump over the couch to go get it. But I take a B1, a mega dose of B1. This is 300 milligrams. One little capsule is 300 milligrams of B1. Now, what this does is it skyrockets your energy in your cells. So it's fuel. It's not a stimulant. It's a fuel. And I do add a stimulant to it. So stimulant is something that's like a caffeine and energy drink, right? And then a fuel is something that goes into the cells like real motherfucking power. You can feel it when you have to do something that pushes you. You can feel the extra surge. You can feel that extra charge. And so this brand right here is a brand I definitely approve of. I don't want to say the brand because that doesn't mean I'm going to take all their other products, but this one right here, I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Amphetamine. The capsules even okay. Some capsules I can't take because they have a soy or a sunflower, and those bring down the. I don't want to say bring down the immune system. I gotta stop saying that because it creates confusion for us. Triggers an immune response, and so I even have to check the capsules. Capsule on this one and the capsule. Gosh, I want to go get it. I want to go get the. I really do. I want to go get the other one. Hold up. Got it. This one also, meaning I won't go take another one. I won't go take another brand because they put something called tocopherol. Tocopherol is vitamin E, but they're getting their vitamin E from soy and they're getting their vitamin E from a safflower. Sunflower causes a problem, and we won't recognize why we're getting an immune response. It's because it's in there. All right, so you see that one? That's Thiamax from Elliot Overton, and that's 100 milligrams of B1, which creates ATP. And this is benfotiamine, another type of thiamine, which is easier to take. And it's 300 milligrams per one capsule. I'll be putting those down. Somebody said something. It looks like somebody said something, but nothing. Beto Herman. Good evening, Michelle. Good evening, Beto. I like that. All right. ¿Qué onda, Beto? I don't know who you are, Beto, but it looks like maybe you speak Spanish because your name is. I don't know. That could be. No. Beto, you're pretty Mexican. Tell me if you're Mexican, Beto. I'm Mexican. I'm judging. I'm just saying, Beto. Beto sounds Mexican. All right, where we at? Oh, so I take this and then I mix it with a bunch of other stuff, right? I mix it with a bunch of other stuff that you guys probably ain't gonna do, right? But if you just take this, it'll be good enough for you to get that extra energy to jump over the hill to get you up that hill because you still got the rest of the half of the day and you still gotta go home and you still gotta do laundry and you still gotta make food. I mean, there's just so much shit we gotta do that if we don't have the energy from fuel to do it, we ain't gonna get there. So I'm showing you what I do to make sure, like on a regular, that's what I do, right? Oh, and by the way, if I spar, you best believe this shit. I'll come back home and get it before I spar because this is what gets me just like that. You're like lightning. You're like lightning. When you don't have it, you be like pa pa instead of like pa pa pa. That's the difference. I don't know another way to explain it, right? But that's how good that stuff is, and it gets our neurology, our psychology back up because what it does is it gets all the connections of the wiring for neurotransmitters to work so the information goes out and operations start working right. Yeah, you can look up neurotransmitters, make a dose B1 and Elliot Overton. You get all that information. All right, good evening. I am Mexican. I'm from Chula Vista. I'm from San Diego too, Beto. I'm from San Diego. Chula Vista is not far, it's about 25 minutes away. I'm a Southern California girl, so I feel you. I feel you, Beto. Nice having you here. All right, now here's another thing. I don't tell you all the stuff that I do to make my pre-workout, which I'm gonna call it pre-work day because we still got to get through the work day, right? I'm not at the gym, but I'm busting my ass at work, as it might as well be at the gym type of thing. I wish I was at the gym, but I'm not because I gotta be at work busting my ass. So call it my pre-work day, right? Let me go. Let me just tell you what I put in there in my drink, just so you get an idea, right? But the primary thing is getting that mega dose B1. There's two ways the body makes energy for fuel, and that's with nitric oxide, right? Which I get from my amaranth, and then ATP, which I get from my megadose B1. So those are two forms of fuel coming into my cells saying, "What's up?" You know, it's like, "What's up?" And that's how I get through. That's how I'm able to do what I do. It's like, motherfucker, you 50, get the fuck out of here. You guys haven't seen me, so you don't know. You know, you just don't know. I'm better than when I was in my 20s. So I know because I can compare the difference. And if it wasn't for this technology beating my ass and me trying to survive this motherfucker, I wouldn't know that we have this kind of fucking potential. So now what I'm bringing to the table is the potential our species has when we up the game and we stop doing the standard bullshit that we've been told that we're supposed to be doing and switching things up. And I had to do switch things up because I needed to fucking survive. And they'd end up doing something better, you know, something better. So I'm gonna package that shit, get that information online on my website, and make it easy and available for you guys so you don't have to figure out how to mix and match all this shit, right? All right, so what we got? I swear somebody wrote something. I guess not. All right, let me show you what I put inside my mix. So I put stevia for sweetener, and it also gives you a bunch of, so this is green stevia for my power mix that I'm telling you that my pre-workout or my pre-work day, because it gives it that nice green tropical taste, sweet taste, and I get all the properties from the green leaf. So if you're not eating vegetables, but you're getting some green leaf, you're getting some green properties. So this is how I sweeten it with, right? Then I use something called jackfruit. Jackfruit does all kinds of stuff. It's just a little touch of carbohydrate that I add to, because when you add just a little bit of carbohydrate, the uptake helps the uptake and everything you're taking. But I don't even go through everything jackfruit does, but it also has an incredible structure of amino acids. That's where we get our proteins from. A bunch of other things. So check out jackfruit, right? Jackfruit. And I do that so that it binds everything that I'm doing and puts it into the body for absorption because of the carbohydrate that it has. Then I stick my glutamine. Let me show you this brand, because this brand, just this one, meaning just because I buy this brand don't mean everything that they got in their brand is something that I'm okay with, and because I got to go through the ingredients from everybody's brand and just buy the one thing that I can find, and this is one right here. This is the glutamine I get from Body Tech, right? And this is the creatine. GAT actually has a good creatine too. They just didn't have it at the store that I went to. Creatine I get from GAT. One simple ingredient product, and they're not micronized. So you have to make sure, I make sure they're not micronized, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then I make sure it's just the one goddamn ingredient, not mixed with other shit in it to add to that shouldn't even be in there. So if you got proteins and you got supplements and they got other things other than what they're selling on the front, you should put that back. You should put that back and get something that's single ingredient, or the ingredients that are in the front are actually in the back. It's that extra stuff that slips in that causes, it's like pissing in your beer. You drink a beer, it's yellow, it's foamy, it's delicious, but when you piss in it, it's still yellow, it's still foamy, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. And we shouldn't drink it. You know, we shouldn't take it. My point. Let me go back to this is how I get my creatine. Let me tell you what the creatine and what the glutamine does. I do glutamine and creatine every day. Every day. Like, you don't have to have the stevia. You don't have to have the jackfruit. You don't have to have, shit, I don't have it with me. You don't have to have the raspberry powder. You don't have to have the lemon powder. You don't have to have those things, right? In a drink that I make, right? But before 12 o'clock, I have my B1, I have my creatine, and I have my glutamine. Let me tell you what creatine and glutamine does. So what I'm trying to do is show you that I make my own stuff, right? Instead of buying it, because I find it to be a compromise to our body. The main ingredients is what we want to get in there. And so creatine, and guess what I did? I wrote this shit down so I don't get put on the spot. Is apart from helping with strength and our muscles, strength with power. So when we got to go lift something, we notice we have more power, more strength to be able to lift it. We won't know that until we're challenged to do something like that, and then we recognize that we can do it. It's creatine. Our body produces creatine, but we start slowing down in the production of making creatine. That's where aging starts kicking in. And what also ends up happening is if we're not producing creatine, we're not producing energy because our body produces creatine to produce energy for the cell. But because we stop producing this, and we can see it with age, because I'll tell you how we're aging because we lack the production of creatine in our body, naturally making it, that we start losing energy and from fuel. And that fuel is that ATP, that energy in the cell to do anything, right? We're on the couch and we're just like, I want to get up, but I can't. Like my mom wants to get up, but physically I can't do it because we don't have the fuel to be able to do it. So getting creatine in the body every day is part of that fuel because we have to push back against so much toxicity. The toxicity just from the radiation coming, this artificial radiation coming from the cell towers, takes up to 50% of our energy from our cells. And we don't know why we're so fucking tired and worn out. Only 30, you know? Well, me, I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? We got 30-year-old, 20-year-olds fucking tapped out and tired, but because we got things affecting us that we're not aware of, right? So to get that energy back, it's as simple as helping our body with production of ATP, getting that creatine. You get the fullness in the muscles. You get that strength, that energy, that power. And what it does for aging is when we stop producing creatine, we lose fluid in our face, and our fucking face starts falling, and our neck starts falling, and we're like, what the fuck? And that started happening around our 40s. And creatine puts that fluid back in there. So you definitely want to take your creatine. You know, if you're hitting in your 40s, I want to start thinking about that shit. If you're weak and you're tired and you're fucking fatigued and you're not detoxing right, and you don't have the fucking energy when you should, start thinking about your production of energy. It's not just for working out, it's for your fucking work day, it's for your everyday, it's for your lifestyle. Because we're not producing what we should, our bodies are not functioning the way they should. My gosh, I just recognized right now, because I also buy these guys creatine, they just didn't have it. I was showing you glutamine. So everything I just said right now, because I buy these guys, I've bought these guys opposite products, but today at the store, they were opposite. Meaning, Gap, I usually get their glutamine, and Bodytech, I got their creatine last time. And so I'm showing you the wrong one, talking about the wrong one, right? So everything I said about creatine is correct, but I showed you the wrong product brand, right? So that creatine is what I'm talking about, what I just explained right now as far as the fluid in the face and all of that, and our body producing it. Now we're going to go into glutamine, right? Glutamine. Our body also produces glutamine, meaning we don't need to get it from the outside to put in the inside, but because we're so fucking toxic and our body has so much toxicity, and because we're getting older in age, we stop the production, the proper production of glutamine. I'm going to tell you what glutamine does that a lot of people don't know. For people who are in sports, athletes and stuff, they take it for muscle recovery. They take it because when you tear the tissue, instead of 3 days in repair, it's 1 day in repair. I'm trying to give you like an example of why people take glutamine. Because we're used to people only being in the gym, or only if we go to the gym, we start taking this stuff. I'm trying to say is we need to take this stuff on a daily basis if you can. Why I say if you can, some people are so jacked up they can't even eat an apple or a grapefruit because it'll fuck up their system. So if you're under a medication, doctor's care, you can go talk to your doctor about everything I'm saying. What I'm saying is not anybody's health program, right? I'm showing you what I do and why I do it, and that's it. You can go research what I'm saying for yourself, for your own good, right? But I'm telling you what I know. So The glutamine, people take it in the gym for recovery, but that's not all that it does. It helps take the belly fat around, and you see it too. You see the belly fat around the belly button start to go down because it helps to reduce belly fat. It helps to remove aluminum from the brain. We got so many heavy metals, so many metals that shouldn't be in our body that are causing an effect in our transmission of communication. Our body sends signals electrically for communication, and when we have some, I don't want to call it dirty wiring, right? But when we have metals in there that shouldn't be in there, it's going to cause a dysfunction in communication between our cells to get operations done. So what it helps to do is it helps to remove aluminum from the brain. Here's something that I didn't know that it did, and it ended up, my mom ended up telling me because I made her little packets, right, of creatine and glutamine, 5 grams each, little packet, and had her doing them before the afternoon, right? She said that in under a week, in just a couple of days, she had the best rest of her life, and going to bed at 11 when she couldn't go to bed sometimes till 4 o'clock in the morning. So my mom had bipolar, right? Her whole life she had bipolar, and so when she's telling this to me, she said, "What'd you give me? Because I can sleep for the first time in my life, where I'm going to bed comfortably at 11 and I'm waking up at a normal time and going to bed at a normal time." She goes, "That's never happened." But a lot of people who suffer bipolar, their circadian rhythm is off and they can't sleep, you know, and or oversleep, or everything's to an extreme, right? But it helped balance out her circadian rhythm. And I was like, let me check that out. Let me go see. And so I looked up glutamine, circadian rhythm, sleep, a ton of information on how it helps to produce proper sleep. So because our bodies produce glutamine, and we stop producing it even at a young age. When I say stop producing, we don't stop. That's not the right words. We have a dysfunction in communication of operations of nutrients signaling in the right order because of toxicity. So that's why we can have an obese kid at 10 years old. He's not obese because he's a fat kid who's lazy and eats all the wrong food. It's because his body's screaming inflammation, because what's going in is making his body create a swelling effect. And so we're not fat. We have an inflammation problem. And that's how he's showing that effect. And somebody else will show it in sleep deprivation or some other psychological problem. But everybody's being affected by the same thing, that we're not being able to function properly. So the reason my diet is the way that it is so that we can begin to start functioning properly. And in 40 days, we can start seeing that. And the reason I say 40 days, it's going to be like, well, I don't want to do your diet, Michelle. But if you give yourself 40 days to try, you give yourself, your body, a chance to not get triggered immune response, so that it can actually start repairing itself. And foods that go in can start helping to repair, and the nervous system's not swelled up, and the body can actually start removing toxins. And then we'll notice that our body will start going down and down and down. Did it with my cousin just for a couple of days, and her body started going down. And she suffers from obesity, but it's really suffering from inflammation. Her body's screaming, and she ain't listening. Right? She's putting stuff in that keeps triggering an immune response, and it's swelling, 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 swelling. And Mexicans, out of all the races, we're the biggest because that's how our bodies respond to an immune triggered response. And so, immune triggered response is these high lectins that hit the intestines, open them up, and shit comes out, waste system comes out, and then the body's like, what the fuck? Oh shit, the war's on, right? And it has to go over there, and now our immune system has to. It's not dropping, and that's why I got to stop saying our immune system drops. What it is defense dropped, and so now it can't defend because it's a shit storm. It's a free for all. And this is the best way I can explain what it means when we have an immune response, right? This is the best way I can explain. And our body can't repair if it's defending. So if it has to defend on a constant fucking basis, which we're doing on a constant basis, constantly doing this shit, and we don't recognize it, our body has to go, and our cells are just like, what the fuck? I gotta go fix this shit. And then all the bad stuff starts coming in, and psychological, neurological, physical, mental, emotional problems start kicking in, And we can't turn this shit off, but because we're not recognizing the root cause. And then we got to leave our defense calm so our system of operation can start working. And that's why what's going in our mouth, we got to start checking it. It's not, they said we ain't fat. We got an inflammation problem. We got an immune system problem. I see things moving on my screen, but I don't see nobody writing. I had to stop for a second because I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that is. All right, I have no idea. Um, this is the best way I can explain what it means when we have an immune system response and it's a shit show and all hell can break loose in the body and we have all kinds of problems. Here we go. And this is why I don't set that off and why I don't trigger that so that my body can take the time to repair, recover, rejuvenate, redo, renew at 50. And I want to do it at 60 and I want to do it at 70. Now, this is an example, okay? This is just an example, but this is the best way I can explain this. If we had an alien invasion, right? And we had good guys and we have bad guys, and they're all in flying fucking saucers, but we're not used to flying saucers, right? We don't relate to that information. We kind of know, but we don't know, that kind of deal. But if we were to see them, we would not, like our soldiers, boots on the ground, right? Us earthlings, us humans, right? Or mankind, we'd see that shit and we'd be like, fuck it, I don't know who's who. We gotta take them all out. All these motherfuckers gotta go because they ain't us, and that's all we're sure of. And so fuck them all, fuck them all. And so we would shoot all the good guys and the bad guys. And so that is what our cells are doing. They're just like, I don't know who's who in this motherfucker. Get them all, fuck them all, take them all out. But what that ends up doing is it causes a negative effect for us because it starts eating us, breaking us down. And this is an immune response that we're triggering on a regular basis and we don't know it. So our body is just like at war with itself and we got to give it a break. And that's why I say 40 days don't trigger an immune response by not eating a high lectin food that's going to open up the shit in our intestines, open up the walls in our intestines, shit come out, and now the war's on. Glyphosate and aspartame and all these fucking toxins that are in the body that the body's supposed to be able to flush out through the detoxification system through the liver. That shit ain't working. It's already not working, right? And so all those toxins just start kicking in because guess what? Our soldiers are all over the fucking place, and so everything just starts. It's a shitstorm. It's a fucking shitstorm. So imagine a bunch of fucking flying saucers, good guys and bad guys up there, but we don't know who the good guys or the bad guys are, and it's a free for all, and everybody's getting shut down. It's just a fuck show, and so that's what we got going on. So to turn that shit down, is we go to the root. We help the front line of defense organize us, help to fix us, so I don't have to fight. And that's what the soldier's diet's about, right? Putting in the supplements that we need to give our soldiers what they need to go ahead and start building and creating, restructuring and redoing, renewing, our system, and utilizing the food that we have around us while being that's all we got, right? Because we all have different circumstances, there are socioeconomic situations that we can't go get the best of the organics, the best of the grass-fed beef. We can't have the best of the best because we're trying to fucking survive, right? And so we get what we can according to our socioeconomic situation or the situation at the moment, right? And as long as that food doesn't trigger an immune system response, we're good to go. And we got our supplements to back up to feed ourselves, right? Because the other one's just feeding our flavor and the nutrients that we're putting in our supplementation through the foods and through the supplements that I'm telling you about. That's going to make sure to maintain our soldiers strong because they got everything they need. That's a soldier's diet. All right. So we went over the B1 and getting that extra boost, that extra charge, that ATP around a little bit before 12. Then, because of sleep deprivation, we got sleep deprivation going on like a motherfucker. I never I've never been so fucking exhausted. And I've been exhausted, right? But this motherfucker's continual. And I just don't know how people do this shit all the time. So I work at the Tesla factory, right? Uh, that motherfucker is a beast, like for real. We have now gotten our hours calmed down finally, so now I can actually go to the gym and live a little bit. But the hours are 12 and a half hours a day. And that doesn't mean the hours that it takes me to wait to get there because I got to park, walk, wait for the shuttle. Then it gets me where I'm officially there by 6, right? And then the hours the time that it takes to get to the parking lot, to walk the quarter mile, to get to the parking lot, to walk the other quarter mile to wherever your car is. All I'm saying is not that those quarter miles are a problem, is those 12 and a half hours of work also add all those other hours. Sleep deprivation is going to kick in because you got to go home, you got to eat, you got to shower. And if you have kids around you, they need your attention. You tap the fuck out, is what I'm trying to say. You're tapped out because you got to do it every day. It's consecutive. And the reason I say that Tesla Factory, this shit's a beast, is right now I'm doing 4 days a week. We got it down to 4 days a week, but it was 5, 6 days a week. That shit was exhausting. Shit was exhausting. On my day off, I would just take it just to sleep. Just to sleep. So be it that I've been going through this cramming so many hours in a week. You know, we do 40-hour weeks, right? Regularly for work shifts. This is a 60-hour week. And they were like, that's nothing, Michelle. We do 80. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I have not done 80. Don't want to do 80. And that shit, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. Not for overtime, not for any reason. I don't want 8 hours a week. But this is what these people on a mass scale are doing. And when I say on a mass scale, there's so many people that work there. It's incredible how big this place is. And when I got hired, they ended up saying, going on sleep deprivation, right? I'm still talking about that subject. When I got hired, they said that they're on the 13th day, I can ask for fatigue day. I was like, a fatigue day? What the fuck are you talking about? A fatigue day? What does that mean? Right? I never seen that when you're going through a hiring operation. What's a fatigue day? And they said, well, by the 13th day, you can ask for the 14th day off so you can fucking rest. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That's just like slavery. No, no. And the people around me were like, oh, that ain't shit. We do it for 30 days straight. 30 days straight? 12 and a half hours a day? 30 days straight? So, anyways, going back. Sleep deprivation causes a stress hormone. It causes a whole fucking bunch of problems. But we're going to focus on one, and that's cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone that kicks in that I have never fucking had to deal with. I've never had to deal with cortisol. That shit makes you hungry when you ain't even hungry, but the stress is just like, it almost like having water in the desert when you're thirsty. That's how you behave when your cortisol levels up, and that means your stress level is way the fuck up. So I don't have things to cause me stress, right? I don't got no lions chasing me. I don't got no bill collectors chasing me because I can finally pay them, right? I ain't sleeping outside. I don't have to worry about a motherfucker attacking me while I'm sleeping outside and going to work. So my stress levels nice and calm. But what won't let me stop with the stress is the deprivation of sleep. And so the beat that I'm going through this, I had to figure out, well, what the fuck am I going to do about this? Because there ain't no supplement that's going to fix sleep deprivation. What? Sleep. You got to sleep. And anybody who knows about a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, sleep is like a supplement. Like if you don't add that shit, you ain't going to be okay because nothing can top that. You won't work. You won't function. You won't even look good. You won't feel good if you don't get some sleep. And so I'm watching all these people, excuse me, I'm watching all these people around me, I want to adjust. I'm watching all these people around me with this extreme exhaustion that I'm going through. So I'm feeling it, right? I'm feeling it for the first time. Just like, wow. So I do some research, started looking in, and this is what I've come to find to help me a lot. So this right here, I don't know if you guys can see what these guys look like. I've talked about it in other videos, right? But I didn't know what it was going to do for me for cortisol and sleep deprivation. And this thing is called ginseng. It's ginseng root, right? So I don't do the ginseng extracts because they put all kinds of other shit in it, and it's just hard to find something clean. It's real basic. Clean just means it is exactly what it says it is, and there ain't no other shit in it. Started finding those. So I just go straight to the root and I take the root. Now I'm hardcore about a lot of things, right? I'm hardcore, uh, but I'll just chew it. But a lot of y'all can't do that. You'd be like, because you're so finicky about taste and texture and sensitive about this shit and that shit. I do it because I know I need it and just get it in and get going, right? Or what you can do is you can put this in tea and make it in a tea. And it's not going to make you sleepy. It might make some people who've never had it before go to sleep because it's going to make their body reset and readjust. But it gives a lot of energy, but it keeps you calm, keeps your nerves calm. So it keeps you steady because what ends up happening with sleep deprivation is we lose that steadiness and we're jittery and our mind starts flipping in different directions and we can't think clearly and we can't focus because we're fucking exhausted, right? Fucking exhausted because we're not machines, you know, we're not fucking machines even though we're treated like them. The ginseng brings down cortisol. You can find research and studies on it. The ginseng helps to normalize thought and focus, right? When I say normalize, we're able to center. And it creates this wonderful feeling of relaxation, but you can move like a ninja. That's the best way I can explain it. I've explained that before, and I felt that before, but I've never needed it so badly, like with this new job. Or I shouldn't say new job because I've been here for a bit now. But with my forklift job, I 12 and a half hours on a regular. Always check ginseng with, I shouldn't say always. Check your ginseng with whatever it is that you're taking. Because like ginseng and alpha lipoic acid can't go together. I use alpha lipoic acid, uh, but I don't take them at the same time, meaning there's a separation of at least 2 hours. Anything you take until you know what you're taking, um, you gotta always make sure you got little windows of separation of 2 hours so they don't mix, right? You mix certain two things together and then you can have a problem. Medication and amaranth don't go together. Don't go together. You're just like, but that's just the food. But it's a nutrient dense food. I mean, got a lot of powerful nutrients. A lot of food we eat today, it has is dead food. Ain't no nutrients in there. Ain't no power. And so when we eat it, it's like it's food. It's nothing. That's right. What we're eating is nothing. But what I'm showing you are foods with high dense nutritional effects to the body, tools for the cells. And so let me give you an example. I was giving out samples many years ago of my amaranth supplement to everybody at the restaurant, right? And one of and I got all kinds of great fucking feedback, just great feedback, right? And I remember this is years back. And one of the kitchen guys, he says, "What is in your supplement? I've never taken that shit again." I'm just like, "What? Why? What? Tell me. Let me know." You know, that's why I gave everybody some samples because I know what it was doing for me, but I need to see what other people are saying. So this kitchen guy, right? I'd say this kitchen guy because you know guys are like in the kitchen with the cooks, right? They're well, no, maybe you don't. But anyways, all I'm gonna say is Mexican cook, and so we use a lot of language back there, right? And so when he was communicating to me, he was really just in case you got kids or something. But it was like, ¿qué chingado le estás poniendo a ese pinche suplemento? Y pues, no mames. Se está moviendo el pinche piso para arriba, para abajo, para arriba, para abajo. I'm just like, so he's going through like a hallucination, right? I'm just like, what? How can you be fucking hallucinating? He goes, I was seeing in and out. He says, I could see the floor moving. He said, I had to sit down. He goes, I had to go home because of your supplement. I said, wait a minute. This is food. There's nothing else in it. So how could it be my supplement? I said, what else? Tell me what you ate or what you drank at the same time. I need to know, right? That's when I was doing my research, right? That's why I know so much about amaranth, right? I was giving that shit to everybody. And I got all kinds of feedback. And then I went and I looked for the research on that feedback. And I was able to get research. And that's why I know more about amaranth than people who grow amaranth. That's all I can say for sure. Let's see if anybody said anything. Give me 1 second, guys. Little cricket, hey Michelle, look stuff up. Yeah, there is a place you guys can start researching. So little cricket asked, where do I go to look stuff up? So I do it. I want to go back to what this guy said in the kitchen, right? Because let me just finish that up, and then I'm gonna go answer your question, cricket, little cricket. When I asked him, I said, I need you to fucking be honest with me because I know this guy, right? And I know his behavior. I know he did something that was not usual, and I needed to know what the fuck it was. I said, you take any medications? What did you have at the same time you took my supplement, which is amaranth paste, right? He goes, okay, pues me eché una línea. I was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I said, you're gonna snort cocaine and you're gonna take a supplement for your muscles and your energy and your endurance. You're gonna take that shit at the same fucking time? I said, are you serious? Fucking out your mind. So you can't take healthy nutrients and do some type of street drug or even what is it, prescription drugs, because they clash in the cell. The body will take the nutrients before it takes the let's just call it the drug, be it street drug or legal drug, right? But when that crash happens, the body feels it and it goes into like a shock. And his shock was so intense, right? Because I never gave it to somebody who actually admit that to me and tell me. So this is how I go and I look up the research because I see cause and effect, and then I go look up the research. Anytime you want to go, so there's nothing wrong with my supplement. It's you can't mix dense nutrients, supplements, nutrients in general, foods that have dense nutrients at the same time as drugs. You got to have a 2 hour window. Very important that people know that, right? Your doctor, if he did not tell you that, he should, but he most likely would just tell you, no, don't take anything. Only take the drugs because they make money every time you buy the drugs. They get a kickback from the pharmaceutical company every time you go buy your fucking prescription drug. That's where they make their money, right? That's where they make their money. Or is it going back? Where do I find my research? I triangulate research information. I use my personal experience, the experience I see other people having with, I call that my personal experience, right? What I'm seeing with my eyes, what I'm feeling. I take what everybody researches, which is Google, because everybody's going to go and see what the Google God has to say about it. And then I go to ResearchGate. So we have the internet, which everybody knows about. We have the black web, which people know about but don't go on, and then generally don't go on. And then we have something called the gated web, and that I learned from a lady named Tammy who was going to college and learned that this thing exists, and not even all college students know about it. So it's a collection of all the research papers that you can find collectively around the world that are peer reviewed and that are out there for the public to read. And when you want to find something, you put at the end of what you're looking for, put ResearchGate, and you'll pull up papers. And you can actually subscribe to the gated web and have access to all these things. And it has a subscription to it, right? It's not readily available. You got to, like I said, subscribe to it, pay for it. But you can type ResearchGate at the end of whatever you're looking for, and you'll get a good handful of papers. And so what I do is I see what is the Google God telling people for pharmaceutical propaganda purposes, what is my experience, and what does the deep ass research say, and is it saying it repetitively? That's how I triangulate information. X marks the spot. I move forward. That's how I get things done. So I hope that answered your question, little cricket. Beto Herman, haha, you laughing about the guy? I bet that cook, that Mexican cook. That's what happened. So I learned that, right? I don't take any medications and I don't do street drugs, so I would never know that's the situation. But that's what I learned a few years back, and I let people know you can't take amaranth and medications. Can't do it. So where was I at? We now gonna go to glutamine, and I know that we talked about it, circadian rhythm, getting your sleep back. So for somebody who has a hard time sleeping, we're probably not making enough glutamine. And so when I gave this to my mom and she took in the glutamine with the creatine, it ended up allowing her to sleep, and she cried about it. She says she'd been going through that pain for the whole of her life, and to be able to have where she felt normal for the first time, she cried about it. That's painful. People are suffering needlessly because we're not told these things about how we function, how we work as mankind, and we're being led astray. We're being misled by pharmaceutical propaganda, government. It's all religion. All those guys work together. They're posse, you know. They're all fucking homies, and they're all making money off of our demise. So I'm taking it upon myself to rebuild myself, strengthen myself, and share it with you guys. That's the best. That's the best way I got to express what I'm doing. All right, so that's around 12 o'clock. I eat my lunch. I'll eventually do a video of how I pack food for one day, but in one day I make all my food for the whole week because I don't have time working 12 and a half hours a day to be able to make all my food. So I do it in one day, line it up, pack it up, stick it in the refrigerator, and then it becomes fast food, food ready to go. And I show you what I do with my food on another video, on another live, right? 12 o'clock, I ate my food. I don't have one here with me and in front of me, but at the end of my shift, I have a grapefruit, on an empty stomach. Now, what does a grapefruit do? Grapefruit produces something called glutathione. Glutathione is like the biggest, baddest motherfucker there is when it comes to detoxification. So bad, it has to be there, and it's not because our liver's fucked up. So our liver produces this to get waste toxins and move it the fuck out. But because we're not detoxifying, because our livers are fatty, because not because we're alcoholics, saying fatty livers only for alcoholics. You got 5-year-olds with fatty livers because loaded with toxins because the body cannot detoxify. One grapefruit produces an average of 70 milligrams of natural glutathione, and that's why grapefruits help people lose weight. They're not losing weight, they're losing toxins, because when there's a toxin in the body goes and makes fat, wraps around the toxin to protect the organism, sends it off to the edge, the outer exterior of the organs, and that's where we get this brown fat, right? We get this nasty fat, this toxic fat. Grapefruit says, "You're out, motherfucker. I'm gonna piss you out right now," and it happens fast. So I help my body maintain with a grapefruit. That is cold, it's refreshing. I got a little refrigerator in our little shack at work because we got this little refrigerator. So when I eat that nice cold grapefruit, pink, it's pink, it's sweet, and it's delicious, right? The fiber goes in there. A lot of people don't know what fiber is. Fiber, when it goes in the intestines, is like giving a pickaxe to our soldiers to break down that dirt wall, right? And that dirt wall being the lining of our intestine, that shit needs to go out. But ain't got no fucking tools to work with ourselves. Ain't got no tools. Fiber is like those tools that say, escarabat, and it produces good bacteria also to grow, to ferment, to grow, and get the bad bacteria out. Our intestines are overloaded with bad guys, bad bacteria, and we need more of the good guys. And grapefruit helps with that and pushes out toxins. And you'll see that's why weight loss and grapefruit go together. It's toxin loss. It's really what it is. Glutathione. To make glutathione in the body needs glycine, cysteine, and glutamate, not glutamine. So this is glutamine, an amino acid. Glutamate is something else. We have too much glutamate in the body. It's very toxic. So you never hear anybody talking about add glutamate, add glutamate. You never hear that because the body makes it and we're making too much of it and it's causing all kinds of problems. You can look up online what those problems are. But the reason I'm going to this is because when we need to make glutathione in the body, let me find mine. Give me 1 second. Because I'm going to show you what I take at night, right? Oh, I don't have mine with me. I thought I had it with me. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I don't know where I have it. So I bought some L-cysteine. I don't have it here for me to show it to you. I haven't used it yet. But it's supposed to help with scar tissue, right? I got a lot of scars. It's supposed to be able to help from the inside out, heal the scar tissues. But also glycine, which we're going to talk about right now, which I do right before bed. I'm going to tell you how I take it. glycine and the cysteine, the L-cysteine that I haven't taken yet, those guys with the glutamate that we already have in our body, they produce glutathione. And we're not producing enough glycine, we're not producing enough cysteine to be able to help our body make the glutathione to move out the toxins. And this is why when we add these things to our body gets better, faster, stronger, younger, more vibrant, because it starts detoxifying, because it's creating um, glutathione. It's creating glutathione. So I can't tell you about the L. I can't even remember it because I haven't started using it yet. L-cysteine. I can't. They call it NAC, right? I haven't started using that, so I can't give you no feedback on it yet. But I have been using glycine. Now, this is what I take at night. At nighttime, I take these two things. This is right before bed. Let me show it to you right here. Right, glycine, and then I take this right here. It's not a really good picture. This right here. What this is black ginger. So I started taking these two things for skin integrity, for skin health, right? To make your skin stronger, tighter, and thicker. I know we needed glycine, and I was only taking 2.5 grams, and those 2.5 grams went up as soon as I injured my foot. And I would take it at night because it makes you sleepy. If anybody tells you to take that during the day, it's because they've never actually taken it. They tell you to take it in your coffee because it's sweet. It's ridiculous. I've heard people say that online. They've never taken it because if they've taken it, they know that she'll make you sleepy. You can't go to work being sleepy. You're definitely not going to put it in your fucking coffee, your caffeine. So the glycine makes you sleepy. Our bodies produce this, but we're not producing enough. And when we start aging, we definitely don't start producing enough. And what happens? The skin starts to get thin and it starts to drop. The skin around our chest drops, skin around the arm, everything fucking drops. You know, and it's a real problem. Aging sucks. Nobody fucking likes that, right? We finally hit 40, we figured life out, and then we're gonna look old as fuck. No, I ain't going that route. So I started taking glycine for that, but only 2.5 milligrams. I jacked up my foot, right? I jacked up my foot. A lot of you guys know that I'm going into bare knuckle boxing. I used to be a professional boxer 20 years ago. And now that I'm going to go into boxing, I injured my foot. I tore my, trying to remember what it's called, my fascia on the bottom of my heel, right? And I was training with no shoes, and I was moving so god dang fast. Not your regular kind of moving. I mean, where I was filleting open the creases in my feet, and they were bleeding. That's how much torque I was putting in my feet, right? Anyways, so much torque. I ripped the fascia on my heel. Still recovering from that, but I want to recover quicker, right? So I moved my glycine intake at night for my face. I said, let me see how I'm going to up it for my foot. And so I went up from 5 then to 10. And I'm talking grams, right? 10 grams. This shit is unreal because what it ended up doing is making my skin thicker. It made my skin thicker on my face and my neck. And I was like, oh, the Lord. So it was doing good, and it just went from good to fucking better. Breasts shot up. I mean, this is like a overnight success type of deal thing, right? Okay, let me go back to my tendon. It helped my tendon, or not my tendon. I don't know why I said my tendon, my fascia. When I went to the doctor, he said about 6 to 12 weeks I'll be able to recover. I recovered in 3 weeks. I'm not running or pushing myself, but I'm not wearing my boot. I don't limp. And I was able to walk under 3 weeks at 10 grams of glycine because it restores connective tissue. It repairs and generates connective tissue. So they got all of us eating the shit out of collagen, which is expensive, which has other ingredients, which there's a whole lot of other witches, right? That don't sound right, but there's a whole lot of other reasons why they got us taking collagen. Glycine is really inexpensive. Collagen's very expensive. If you shop around and look, and the reason people take collagen? It's because there's glycine in it, and our bodies need 10 grams of glycine a day. I didn't know this shit until I fucked up my foot and I'm looking for repair, right? And then I started doing some more research and I'm just like, oh my God, we need 10 grams a day. We're not producing 10 grams a day. Our shit fucking falls, our skin falls, gets thin because we're not creating the connective fucking tissue that we're supposed to be. And I say it like this because it's so fucking simple, but we've not been taught this shit and it makes me mad, right? Makes me mad that we haven't been taught this simple shit that should be basic 1, 2 plus 3, 1 plus 2 equals 3 type of shit, right? A, B, C, all the way to Z. Let's line this shit up and get this organized instead of making it so complicated. So the reason I had to share that, right? I had to share that. Black ginger. A lot of people don't know about black ginger, but it produces fat where we lose fat. Not fat where we don't want fat. We want fat in our cheeks, our mouth, right? Our mouth. We want fat in the upper part of our breast, and we lose that with age. And this brings it back. Fucking brings it back. So I'm sharing with you guys what I do, what helps me get a good restful sleep. Oh, by the way, when I take this, I'm out because waking up in the middle of the night, you get home and you got to get up at 3:30 in the morning, and then your ass is gonna be woken up at 1 or some shit like that, and you're just like, fuck, I just want to sleep. This puts you out. This puts me out, and I'm out straight till my alarm goes off. Straight till my alarm goes off. I feel blessed. I feel blessed because I know this shit. But I had to get my ass fucking hat to go look, and I always know that if you break me down here, I'm going to look, motherfucker. I'm going to build myself up, and I'm going to be better than I was because I won't accept to be taken down. I just won't, So that's what I got for that. Now let me show you what I apply on my skin that is highly nutritionally dense, meaning the information going to my cells is putting them to work right. Oh, I brought this because I want to make sure just to put this in there. If you're eating table salt, throw that shit away. Like right now. Get up, go throw that shit in the fucking trash. It'll retain water in areas the water shouldn't be. And that's where we get that water retention, that problem, that blood pressure. Oh, I'm swelling up. Throw that shit out. Go get some basic ass $2 sea salt at Trader Joe's. I mean, just don't think sea salt costs like $10 for a little jar because that's how they're selling that shit, right? Get some basic sea salt. Sea salt has the minerals the way it's supposed to be structured in its natural nature. We consume it. Our body uses up all those awesome minerals. Those minerals are in the liquid minerals that I make in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Or not make in the morning, take in the morning. But the ones I take are higher dosage. This right here is just for maintenance. So that as we're cooking our food, we have that good little maintenance, those little trace minerals going in and giving our soldiers a little water break, just that little water break, meaning giving them what they need so they can get to work. What's going on with table salt is sodium chloride and potassium go together like a sea salt, right? But it's supposed to be more potassium, less sodium, and our table salts more sodium than potassium. Ratios are wrong. It's toxic for the body. Throw that motherfucker away. It'll change your life. I swear. Move to sea salt. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Had to put that in there. All right. These guys right here, alpha lipoic acid, and this right here is, I got a right here, is L-carnitine, only because I just started using this. I've been using alpha lipoic acid for almost 2 years now. It's just off the charts. It's changed the texture of my skin. I have 3 babies, right? I have 3 children, and that damaged scar tissue, it's just cleared it up. It's something unbelievable. Along with this, so this is something I've just started doing, and this is also unbelievable. We go into it right now. And the L-carnitine is an amino acid, right? And L-carnitine does a whole bunch of stuff, but it helps to push fat into the motor of our cells or mitochondria, and then we use that fat that's on the outside pushed into the cell in the motor so that we use it and burn it for energy, right? So that's one of the things, of the many things that it does. Look up L-carnitine so you can see what it does. But it helps move fat into fuel. Moves fat into fuel. So when I make it as a solution to put on areas that has fat pockets that will never fucking go nowhere, because no matter how much you work out, that fat pocket is a damaged skin, damaged tissue that fixes that up. And then I also put it with something called, if you can see that. Oh, I don't even know if I showed you guys this one, right? I know you probably want to see it. Oh, carnitine with artichoke extract. Now, artichoke extract also has an incredible amount of properties to help the body, benefit the body, but it moves out fat as well. It helps to move out fat, and it helps the pancreas create the bile, so that it can break down fat. If we don't have enough bile, which a lot of us don't, we're not breaking down fat. We don't break down fat. It's like fucking the dishwasher not working no more. Ain't nothing else gonna fucking happen if that shit ain't working. We have to be able to break down fats, because fat carry information with nutrients for the rest of the body, and for a lot of other reasons. But I'm just trying to say that we can't have that production stopping, and artichoke extract helps with that. And what they do together, what is put in here, you put it on the area, and it literally changes the texture of the skin. So I want to talk to you guys about my belly and the texture of when you, because it's the best example I have, right? It's the best example I have. And for ladies out there and men who know ladies with that type of texture on their stomach, that shit's almost unrepairable. You gotta go get that shit cut off, pulled down, fucking stretched the fuck out, ironed. I don't know what the fuck, but it's a big ordeal, right? And now what I'm recognizing is that it's a slow process, but it's a real process, and it's happening. It's working. This pushes the fat, and you start seeing the fat loss, and the texture of that skin smooth out, almost like it's getting ironed, right? So the texture of the stretch mark scars, because they're scars, is smoothing out, almost like it's being ironed out. And I've only started this, let's say, a month, right? And I'm pretty flabbergasted. This, and it also does a whole bunch of good things. Carnitine for the system, for the body, because we're also supposed to be producing it, and we slow down in that production. So giving it to the body is very helpful. Alpha lipoic acid, super antioxidative, does all super antioxidative. What the fuck does that mean? People are like, whatever. It means if we have some dirty ass trash, it moves it the fuck out. Now it's clean. Oh, nice environment. If our cells look like shit, we look like shit. If they feel like shit, we feel like shit. If they're sharp, tight, and ready and steady to go and feel youthful and feel young, so do we. And we express it on the outside. So yeah, it's very important how our cells are functioning on the inside. And these are the things that I use to help my cells. So look up what alpha lipoic does, because it does a ton of stuff that's restorative. But what people don't know that it does, and you might not find it unless you go to ResearchGate and do some deep research, it looks and seeks out damaged collagen. Now that's some shit right there. Because our stomachs, and we got a lot of body parts that got a lot of damaged collagen. It means skin that's non fucking repairable and got to usually get cut off in surgery, right? This stuff goes out, seeks it, eats it up. You almost can feel the contraction, and it starts dissipating and shrinking and shrinking. It takes a long fucking time. Don't get me wrong. I've been doing this for a year and a half, off and on. I can say 4 times a week. I'm sure to do it, but it ends up little by little. The skin from over here, it starts tapering in, because it's eating up all the damaged collagen. So as time goes by, as we get older, this stuff's making it better, making that damaged skin better. If you want an overnight fix, you got to go to a surgeon, right? But if you know time's going to go on and you need to up your antioxidant levels anyways, and helping your cells get what they can get from alpha lipoic acid, putting it on the outside. A lot of people will consume alpha lipoic acid. I put it on the damaged area of the skin, and the skin gets taut. It gets, so let's say somebody has stretch marks from working out, right, in the bicep, and they can't fix it. They'll literally tighten it up, and you start seeing it go away. It's an amazing thing. I've been taking pictures for the past year and a half, right? And I'm not gonna put them up until I'm at my final stage, but It's very, very impressive. It's impressive. And now that I'm trying this one, I'm watching that texture because the alpha lipoic acid is consuming the damaged skin, right? But this is ironing it out, and it's pushing the fat tissue at the same time. So combination is great. I don't mix them at the same time. I'll do one day and one the next day, one day, one the next day. Again, because you never want to mix two things together because you might get something else. And unless you go do the research to see, and which I haven't. I haven't done the research to see what happens if I put these together. I could go do the research, but I work 12 and a half hour days. I haven't had the time, right? I haven't had the time. But you don't want to do something to go do the research to see what studies have been shown. Again, research gate at the end of that study to see what happens before you give that a chance, or try it. And so this is why I do one day and one the next day, so there's no cross. There's no crossing. That is pretty much it. What I do, I do this once a week right here. I got a video on it because we have the tech that builds up, the plaque that builds up. We got a lot of shit clogging our arteries. They're causing a lot of pressure that builds up. Tech or no tech, people know about the tech or don't know about the tech. We got artery problems with pressure. This shit will relieve it right here. All right, El Mexicano. This is one of two orange. They're called marinadas. I don't know, bitter orange. So it's a bitter orange in English, right? But what they have is EDTA and sodium benzoate. It breaks down what gets clogged up. Pressure's gone. I do shake this well, 3 capfuls in a nice glass of water with ice. Drink it. Put some stevia to make it taste nice, right? Drink that down, and it breaks down anything that the tech has built up, takes it off of the artery wall or the wall with the tissue that is holding onto it and pushes it out. Now, I gave this stuff that I don't think I said this on my other videos that where I talk about this stuff that you can find on my YouTube. I gave this to a guy with water. He's like, "What are you drinking, Michelle?" And I told him what I'm drinking. He's all, "Well, give me some." I said, "But you don't know nothing about the tech or anything like that." He goes, "I don't care." He goes, "But what I'm hearing you say," he goes, "I have pressure in my chest that I haven't been able to get rid of in a year and a half, right?" And he said he's been going to the doctor, this, that, and the other. Anyways, long story short, he drank it. Next day, he's on Michelle. This is what I felt. And what he felt were the same feelings I felt. You feel the tingling because the tech is breaking down, and then the relief of the pressure. So this is from a man who don't know nothing about tech, know nothing about me, know nothing about my videos, but was just watching what I was taking for lunch because I took this one day for work. Took it down, and he said, "Give me some." I gave him some. So you're not on medications right now? He said, "No, I haven't taken no medications because he takes medications, right?" But he hadn't had none in the past 2 hours. He wasn't going to take any until he went home in the evening. He took this, drank it, in that water. Next day he came back. He goes, "I can't believe my pressure's gone." He goes, "I've been living with that pain for over a year, and nobody could help me. No medications were helping me. We have a problem with stuff being put into our food, being technology. It's like putting sand in the gas tank and not expecting some fucking shit to happen to the operating system. Of course, there's going to be a fucking breakdown. So we have nanobiotechnology, really fine powdery technology. Can't even see its powder. That's how fine it is. But when it comes together, it makes these little filaments. It starts linking together like hairs, right? And it's clogging up our system. It's clogging up our operations. All you got to do is look up nanobiotechnology, food system, food science, whatever you want that you can get from a professional arena. Nobody's hiding that fact. Just nobody's looking it up. So I got motherfuckers telling me it's not true. I said, "Well, have you looked that shit up? Have you looked up food science, nanobiotechnology?" Well, then shut the fuck up. You can't come and have a conversation about this until you've checked that shit, and then you come tell me that shit is not real. Now you can say that shit is unfucking real, but it's really happening, and because it's happening, we gotta pay attention to how we're treating the soldiers ourselves in our body, so they can fucking fight back, because they got a real war in there. Got a real war in there, and if we don't help our soldiers, we're gonna see the effects in ourselves. That's pretty much all I got, you guys. I hope that helped. I hope that helped. But that's pretty much what I do every day, all day. Every day, all day. And I can't wait to get back to the gym, start transforming this body, and knocking some people out, because that's what I want to see. So I want to see. I want to see if anybody wrote anything. Hey, what you do? Thank you. Very helpful. You're very welcome. Thank you for that. Hey, what doing today, Auntie? Well, I ain't nobody's fucking auntie, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, right? I only got two nieces. You ain't my sister, so I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm gonna be getting ready for bed, cause I gotta get up at 3:30 in the morning. Here's to all you guys. Again, this is Michelle Angelic signing out, saying take care of yourselves. Treat them like soldiers. Don't let them down. All right, guys. Be well.